Hello everyone. I've been wanting to tell the story of uh, Gog Magog or Yajuj Majuj as they are called in Urdu for a very long time. Uh, this is one of the stories from the Quran and written, and I have described it in this book. And it is something that has been like I've been thinking of it a lot. So I'll just read the story out to you and from the book, and afterwards we'll see if there are any questions and I can answer them. I would love to answer them. So the story that I have called the story in my book, I've called it the Wall of Qarnain. Now Qarnain is not a prophet, but he is a very revered figure, and there are many people who say that Qarnain could be Alexander the Great. But of course that is again not proved. This is what people say, and because Qarnain is referred to quite a lot. Now, a great and powerful king called Qarnain ruled over a vast territory that reached the first ray of the rising sun in the east and on the west and all that was in between. His name meant man of two eras, and many say it is another name for Alexander the Great. Qarnain's conquests had happened in the following way. He had first travelled till he came to the ebbing sun, and he found it setting in a dark, murky sea. Since there was no land beyond, it seemed like the end of the world to him. He conquered the people there and laid one boundary of his kingdom there. He next went towards the rising sun, and this too appeared like the end of the earth as the sun was rising from the sea. He found a primitive people living there and took over the land, but he left them undisturbed in their state of content. It was when he was traveling in the northerly direction that he came to a tract between two mountains and found himself among a people whose speech he could not understand. They were a sophisticated race, skilled in the use of metal. They could make blocks of iron, melt metals with bellows or blowpipes, and prepare molten lead and copper. Eventually, when they were able to communicate to the conqueror, they bowed before him, appealing to him for help. They were under constant attacks from the evil tribes of Yajuj and Majuj, Gog and Magog, and asked Qarnain for his protection. The tribes of Yajuj and Majuj live near the sea that encircles the earth and are so numerous that only God can count them. Some of them are as tall as 120 feet, while some are square things, 4 arms tall and 4 arms length wide. Some have ears so big that they use one ear to sleep on as a pillow and cover themselves with the other. They have white faces, small eyes, and grey hair, and their faces are like shields covered with skin. They are a powerful people, almost as powerful as Qarnain himself. None but I can destroy them, God was reported as saying about them. Qarnain could contain their influence but not eliminate them. Only God could eliminate or can eliminate Yajuj Majuj. The people between the two mountains begged the great king to build an enormous wall that would keep the murderous tribe away. Qarnain heard the story and agreed to help them as long as they assisted him. Bring me blocks of iron, he told them. He had the blocks of iron put on top of the other, starting at the bottom until he reached the top of the mountains, filling the spaces with molten lead or copper instead of clay. The wall rose tall and strong, almost impregnable, and a great sense of relief ran through the men of the mountain. For this was a wall that even the fearsome Yajuj and Majuj would surely not be able to breach. Qarnain, however, warned them not to be so confident. The wall was, he said, only a temporary containment, and God would one day reduce it to dust. The two eras of Qarnain refer to a period of calm after which the tribes of Yajuj and Majuj will unleash their terror on man once again. That day, the world will be close to destruction. The doomsday may seem distant to us. The prophet had already sounded the first warnings of their reappearance. Zainab bint Jaish describes an occasion when the prophet woke up from sleep in distress, saying the following words: "There is none worthy of worship but Allah. Destruction is upon the Arabs due to the evil which has come close to them. Though a hole has been opened in the barrier wall of Yajuj Majuj like this, and he made a circle with his index finger and thumb indicating the size of the hole. In fact, Yajuj and Majuj have been trying to break through the iron wall from the day it was built. They try to break into it each day and almost succeed, but every night God restores it. They dig through the ground every day, hoping to create a tunnel that will take them under the wall. But when they return after a night's rest, the barrier is stronger than it was before and the tunnel has been covered over. This will continue till one day the man in charge will say, "Go back, you can carry on digging tomorrow, God willing." Upon invoking God's will, they will return to find that the hole they had made the previous day is intact. The complete breach of this wall will be one of the signs of the approach of the day of judgment. The prophecy goes like this: Yajuj and Majuj will then destroy every land that they will pass through. They are great warriors and nearly impossible to defeat. They will emerge as the new world order, and when they have prevailed on the people of the world, one of them will say, "We have finished with the inhabitants of the earth. Now only the inhabitants of the heavens are left." The gates of evil will be opened, and the world will be plunged into turmoil. The creatures of Yajuj and Majuj will shake their spears and hurl them into the sky, and they will come back bloodied. The world will be full of evil. Out of every 1,000 people, 999 will belong to the tribes of Yajuj and Majuj and will be mischief makers and evil. The Mahdi, or the guided one, will make his appearance at that time. He will replace tyranny and oppression with peace and calm, but it will be short-lived, as a false Messiah or Dajjal will appear and claim to be a prophet. He will be a one-eyed, hairy man with crooked legs, and it will appear somewhere between the areas of Syria and Iraq. He will promise heaven and hell to his followers and gain many on the basis of false promises, and perform unusual feats to convince men of his divinity. He will wreak havoc on those who oppose him, and at that time Jesus will be raised again and he will kill the false Messiah. After that, Jesus will confront the menace of Yajuj and Majuj. Jesus and his companions will be besieged in the mountains of Tur and will face such a shortage of food and water that the head of an ox would be dearer than 100 gold dinars. Every hand will be raised in prayer to God, asking to be delivered from this evil. Allah will hear his apostle and will afflict the tribes of Yajuj and Majuj with a disease that will kill them, a worm that will enter their neck and eat its way out of their heads. Jesus and his companions will then come down from the mountain of Tur, but their relief will be short-lived, as they will not be able to find any place on earth to live in. Every inch of land will be filled with rotting bodies and their stench. Once again, God will come to their aid, sending birds whose necks are as big as Bactrian camels to carry off the dead bodies. The earth will still not feel cleansed of the evil presence. God will then send rain, which will wash it clean and make it shine like a mirror. The earth will then bloom and flourish again. Fruit trees will bear fruits, and pomegranates will grow to such a size that one fruit can be eaten by a group of people, and a single cow will be able to give so much milk that almost a town will be able to drink it. But this does not mean that the day of judgment has been averted. The signs will appear when peace is restored on earth and blessings abound. There will be 3 major landslides, one in the east, one in the west, and one in the Arabian Peninsula. Smog will cover the sky for 40 days. This will be followed by 3 long, seemingly unending nights. The night of 3 nights will end with the sun rising from the west. A great beast, no one knows what it will look like, will emerge, causing the earth to tear apart. The beast will be able to talk to people and brand the faces of people according to their deeds. A pleasant wind will come down from the south, which will soothe people, but in reality it will cause pain and swelling from their armpits and take the life of the believers. The pious will die first, followed by the sinners in order of their sins. The most flagrant sinners will be the last to die. The Kaaba will be destroyed by non-believers, and Hajj will end, and the words of the Quran will be lifted or erased from the pages and hearts of people. The final sign will be a fire in Yemen, which will drive people to the place of assembly for the day of judgment. The angel Israfil will sound the great horn-shaped trumpet to signal the day of reckoning. Its thundering sounds will cause the remaining people to flee from their homes into the jungles, while animals will rush towards the cities, but they will not find shelter anywhere. Soon all creatures will die, and the earth will split in two. Seas will submerge mountains, and the mountains will come crashing down. The universe will be destroyed. When no creature big or small remains, the angel of death will approach Shaitan, and all the angels will seize his soul. Shaitan will feel all the pain that he has caused mankind when his soul is being seized, and then nothing will remain except Allah. He will recreate the heavens, earth, and angels, but there will be no trees, seas, or mountains on it. Israfil will once again blow the trumpet, and the earth and all creatures in it will return from their graves to the original form in which they were before their death. Their souls will re enter the body and proceed towards the plane where the final day of judgment will unfold. The sun will be only a mile above their heads, and upon its fiery rays, people will be sweating in their sins, waiting for their deeds to be read out. The day of judge reckoning will be long, very long. A single day could be as long as 50,000 years as they wait for God's decision. Do they get heavenly gardens and rivers of milk and honey, or are they condemned to burn in hellfire forever after? Now, this is something that I've written after reading a lot of books and a lot of stories written about this. So, if there is whatever mistakes there are mine. But this, I find this story of Yajuj Majuj very, very interesting, and I hope you all enjoyed it also. Thank you. So I just came